According to data from China's General Administration of Customs, exports measured in U.S. dollars saw growth plummet in November, dropping from a 12.7% increase in October to just 6.7%. Imports also declined further, shrinking by 3.9%, marking the worst performance in 9 months. In November, China's capital markets recorded their highest monthly outflow of funds, reaching $45.7 billion. In the technology sector, the Chinese government is already showing signs of concern. The Biden administration is delivering what might be its final blow in the U.S. China chip war. A potential Trump second term could take on an even tougher stance, expanding Washington's strategic tech blockade against Beijing. Even before Trump officially takes office, tensions in the China-U.S. tech war have intensified. China launched an antitrust investigation into Nvidia, a leading American AI chip maker, to which Nvidia responded by asserting its competitive edge. Meanwhile, in 2024, Chongqing-based chip unicorn BREN Technology, often referred to as China's Nvidia, collapsed. On the last working day of August 2024, BREN abruptly announced its dissolution, leaving 400 employees without jobs, shocking both the industry and its staff. BREN, established in September 2020, was once hailed as a beacon of hope for China's high-performance chip sector. In September 2022, it unveiled its first GPU, the Tianjun-1, which claimed to be a domestically designed high-performance processor with independent intellectual property rights. However, unsuccessful financing efforts led to a financial crisis in August 2024, forcing the company to announce its dissolution. BREN later denied dissolving, but admitted the need for restructuring. Industry insiders believe the company's downfall is irreversible. As of now, BREN's official website shows its latest business updates are dated August 20, 2024. In another development, Canadian research firm Tech Insights recently analyzed Huawei's new Mate 70 Pro Plus smartphone and found that it uses the same 7nm technology as last year's Mate 60 Pro. The chip, named Kirin 9020, was designed by Huawei and produced again by Shanghai-based SMIC. The research firm pointed out that this indicates Huawei is still about 5 years behind the industry leader, TSMC, in terms of technology. Against this backdrop, the fate of China's ambitious Made in China 2025 plan, which was launched a decade ago, has drawn attention. China's manufacturing sector originally rose in the early 1990s by leveraging cheap labor to produce labor-intensive goods. Over the past few decades, many international companies set up factories in China. However, a 2022 report by Changjiang Securities noted that China remains primarily a producer of low-end goods. In 2010, then Vice Premier Li Keqiang acknowledged that China's manufacturing was large but not strong, adding that many key technologies, large-scale equipment, core components, and critical basic parts still rely on imports. In 2015, Beijing launched the ambitious Made in China 2025 plan, calling it the action guideline for the first decade of implementing the strategy to build China into a manufacturing powerhouse. The plan targeted 10 key industries, including information technology, robotics, aerospace, new energy vehicles, and advanced materials, setting specific performance benchmarks. These sectors align closely with the so-called Fourth Industrial Revolution, which integrates emerging technologies like big data and cloud computing into the global manufacturing supply chain. Unlike previous industrial policies, Made in China 2025 explicitly outlined China's ambition not just to catch up with global technological leaders, but to surpass them. However, China's long-standing disregard for intellectual property rights and alleged theft of Western technologies sparked discontent and sanctions from the West, especially the United States. In fact, Made in China 2025 is widely regarded as a key trigger for the U.S. China trade war in 2018. The Trump administration at the time focused its Section 301 actions, including tariffs, on this plan, accusing China of distorting fair competition through forced technology transfers, intellectual property violations, and market interventions. To ease international pressure, Chinese state media were instructed around 2018 to avoid mentioning Made in China 2025 by name. During the 2019 National People's Congress opening session, then Premier Li Keqiang did not mention the plan. However, it seems Beijing has quietly continued advancing the initiative under different names. With Trump now re-elected, the U.S. China trade war and tech competition are likely to escalate further. How has this plan, intended to shift China from Made in China to Designed in China, actually fared? While the official Made in China 2025 document avoided quantifiable market share targets, an unofficial report titled Green Book on Technology Innovation in Key Fields, Technology Roadmap, provided specific benchmarks. For example, by 2025, the targets include a 90% domestic market share for new energy vehicles, 80% for mobile communication devices, 70% for industrial robots, and 56% for global market share in semiconductors. In April this year, the South China Morning Post concluded that over 86% of these targets had been met, with some expected to be achieved by the end of this year or next. Certain sectors, like electric vehicles and renewable energy, have already exceeded expectations. Republican Senator Marco Rubio, who is set to become Secretary of State in Trump's new administration, released a report in September on the progress of Made in China 2025. According to the report, China has fully conquered 4 of the 10 key sectors: electric vehicles, energy and power production, high-speed rail, and shipbuilding. 5 areas, including aerospace, biotechnology, new materials, robotics, and semiconductors, have partially met their goals. However, one sector, agricultural machinery, was deemed a complete failure. Dr. Zhang Tianliang, an associate professor of humanities, commented on his YouTube program that the 4 areas Rubio identified as China's successes lack advanced technical complexity and can be achieved simply by investing sufficient resources. Regarding aerospace, where Chinese drone manufacturers dominate 90% of the U.S. commercial market, Dr. Zhang acknowledged significant advancements, but noted that China still cannot compete with companies like SpaceX, Boeing, or Airbus. Veteran aviation expert Gao Fei pointed to the shortcomings of China's C919 passenger jet. After a Shanghai to Chengdu flight in 2023, the plane failed to return as scheduled and was replaced by an Airbus A320. Gao explained that the C919 is essentially an assembly of components from various countries, raising concerns about its integration, performance, maintenance procedures, and part supply chain. Given China's focus on appearances, it is likely that 2025, as the plan's concluding year, will see the government proclaiming some form of success. Similar to its declarations of complete poverty alleviation and achieving a moderately prosperous society, official announcements will likely paint a favorable picture regardless of the underlying realities. Dr. Wang Guocheng, an assistant research fellow at the Zhonghua Institution for Economic Research, believes that Beijing will likely stack up numbers to make Made in China 2025 appear successful. While the data may support China's narrative, the critical question remains: how much control does China truly have over core patents and foundational research? In recent years, Chinese President Xi Jinping has frequently emphasized the need to overcome choke point technologies. By 2023, the government announced the establishment of the Central Science and Technology Commission, which will oversee the reorganized Ministry of Science and Technology. This new structure aims to centralize research efforts and implement a nationwide system for scientific innovation. Economist Zheng Xuguang, based in the U.S., remarked that this approach resembles the 2 bombs, 1 satellite initiative from Mao Zedong's era, which pooled national resources to overcome technological deficiencies. Xi Jinping appears to be preparing for potential future sanctions from a U.S.-led Western coalition, similar to the measures taken against Russia. However, Professor Zhang Zhengbing from Taiwan's National Yunlin University of Science and Technology argued that increasing party control over scientific research could stifle creativity and innovation, which thrive in environments of freedom and competition. A report from Voice of America noted that under China's governance, the manufacturing sector struggles to achieve high-quality development and innovation. The root cause lies in the inherent flaws of its political system, where a state-led planned economy suppresses creativity and limits progress. China is not unique in using industrial policy to support its industries. Japan relied on such policies during its rapid economic growth in the 1970s and 1980s. The 4 Asian tigers, South Korea, Taiwan, Hong Kong, and Singapore, also adopted similar strategies to drive growth. Even Germany introduced its Industry 4.0 initiative in 2013. What sets Made in China 2025 apart, however, is the international backlash it has provoked. Concerns about unfair competition have emerged, including allegations of discriminatory treatment against foreign firms, forced technology transfers, and intellectual property theft. Foreign businesses often complain of being pressured to hand over industrial designs and patents, while Chinese entities face widespread accusations of stealing commercial secrets from other nations. Dr. Hua Jiazheng, director of the Research Division No. 2 at the Taiwan Institute of Economic Research, explained that China's manufacturing sector grew rapidly due to significant investments from international corporations in Taiwan, Japan, and South Korea. This market for technology approach traded access to China's vast market for foreign technological know-how. However, this strategy has hit a wall as global supply chains become more diversified under U.S. leadership, making it harder for China to acquire advanced technologies. The Chinese government seems to have broken Made in China 2025 into smaller components, embedding them into the country's 14th five-year plan and various related policies. Slogans like high-quality development and new productivity proposed by Xi Jinping over the past year are seen as continuations or upgrades of the original initiative. Yet the exact meaning of new productivity remains ambiguous. According to Chinese search engine Baidu, it emphasizes innovation, breaking away from traditional growth models and focusing on advanced production characterized by high technology, efficiency, and quality, aligned with modern development principles. German FX strategist and recognized China expert Volkmar Bauer told Deutsche Welle that such slogans lack substantive content, leaving their true impact open to question. Dr. Feng Chongyi, an associate professor at the University of Technology, Sydney, believes that the Chinese Communist Party often resorts to vague slogans to cover up its failures, creating new technologies or concepts as a distraction when the economy struggles. This shift is largely attributed to China's ongoing real estate crisis, which has severely impacted the economy. Consumer confidence remains low, and private entrepreneurs are increasingly disheartened. In response, the Chinese government has shifted its focus to manufacturing, coining the term new productivity to present a fresh direction. This initiative focuses on sectors such as semiconductors, electric vehicle batteries, solar energy, and wind power. However, following the July meeting of the 20th Central Committee, Beijing emphasized the need to adapt new productivity mechanisms to local conditions to avoid overproduction. Ironically, the so-called New Three of Chinese exports, EVs, lithium batteries, and solar panels have already suffered from significant overcapacity under the command economy model. This has led to anti-dumping sanctions and heavy tariffs from the U.S., Europe, and other countries. Dr. Wang Guocheng, an associate researcher at the Tsinghua Institute for Economic Research, points out that once Xi Jinping committed to opposing the West, the strategy invariably leads to self-reliance and aggressive industrialization. Overcapacity then leads to a push for exports, which in turn invites greater backlash from other nations. Semiconductors, a core area of high-tech manufacturing, remain at the heart of the U.S. China tech war. Washington's latest export controls target cutting-edge semiconductor manufacturing equipment and high-bandwidth memory for advanced node chips, creating a bottleneck for China's AI development. Observers predict that Trump 2.0 will adopt an even tougher stance, broadening U.S. efforts to reduce reliance on China for key supply chains such as computer chips, strategic metals, and medical supplies. Former Assistant Secretary of Commerce Nazak Nikatar told The Washington Post that the new administration may extend its focus beyond AI chips to emerging technologies like quantum computing, robotics, and biotechnology, while tightening existing regulations to close loopholes. Dr. Wang Guocheng argues that without access to advanced chips, Made in China 2025 is nothing more than empty rhetoric. Much of China's innovation focuses on applied research, with fundamental research progressing at a painfully slow pace. He also notes that Beijing's ongoing global acquisitions of semiconductor technology suggest that China's self-sufficiency claims are far from reality. Facing the West's technological containment, Beijing has initiated a venture capital fund through state-owned enterprises to support hard tech development, emphasizing a fault-tolerance mechanism to encourage risk-taking. The term hard tech encompasses original breakthroughs fields such as artificial intelligence, aerospace, biotechnology, photonic chips, advanced materials, new energy, and smart manufacturing. U.S. economist Davy J. Kwong believes Beijing's recent actions highlight its internal and external struggles. Facing increasing technological restrictions from the U.S., Europe, Japan, and South Korea, especially in advanced manufacturing like semiconductors, Beijing is attempting micro-adjustments to its economic structure. This includes reducing resistance on foreign investment and using state-owned enterprises' funds to support domestic industries. However, Huang argues that innovation under the Chinese Communist Party is often dictated by officials rather than the market. The government is trying to enact economic transformation without compromising its political system, but this approach typically results in massive spending with little to show for it. Wang He points out that while Beijing claims to increase tolerance for failure by not holding investors accountable for losses, the deeply corrupt system undermines these efforts. For example, several large funds aimed at supporting the semiconductor industry during Xi Jinping's tenure resulted in widespread mismanagement and squandered billions. A new venture fund risks repeating the same mistakes. Meanwhile, the pace of foreign capital withdrawal from China is accelerating. Official data shows that in the third quarter, $8.1 billion of foreign investments exited the country, with actual utilized foreign investment down by more than 30% year-over-year. On November 21st, a blogger summarized recent layoffs and exits by foreign companies in China. These include Johnson & Johnson shutting down multiple product lines in China, LG's new energy factory in Baxter International, Fidelity's Dalian division, Volkswagen's import business unit in China, Panasonic's Qingdao factory, and the Suzhou Huazhong Knitting Company, a Sino-Japanese joint venture. These companies have announced significant layoffs while offering generous competition packages for affected employees. Comments from netizens reflected growing concern. Another wave of foreign capital leaving? How can we survive? Should we beg them to stay? With foreign businesses gone, unemployment will soar. At least they pay N+3 or N+6 severance. Foreign capitalists never forget their social responsibility. Kazuo Watanabe, chief researcher at Nomura Institute of Capital Markets, recently wrote that foreign divestment from China is no longer limited to export-driven sectors like electronics, but now includes domestic-focused industries like IT, automotive, and retail. This trend indicates that China is losing its appeal as both a manufacturing base and a consumer market. Countries in ASEAN and emerging markets like India are increasingly seen as alternative investment destinations. Independent commentator Du Zheng argues that given these developments, the much-touted Made in China 2025 initiative appears increasingly hollow and unlikely to conclude successfully by 2025. Its successor, New Productivity, seems destined for a similar fate as another failed project.